In an earlier video, we were talking about attachments. And we talked about how one particular type of attachment is the make a copy one. This is the one where we create a template for students to start with. And then the students make a copy of it. They've got their own copy, and then they're able to fill in different parts. And these templates are fantastic. They can be a lifesaver sometimes. They can get students to work right away. Whenever we find a really good template that somebody else has already created, it feels like a present on our birthday almost, because it saves us so much time. And then whenever students get a copy of it, then they're able to, start right in on that learning that we want them to do. So the good news about templates, templates, by the way, can be one of the best ways, I think, to use our learning management systems and to have our students show what they know. And the great news about templates, two things. Number one, it's super easy to be able to make your own templates. I love to be able to make them in Google Slides. That's my favorite place. And it's so easy to be able to make those. But two, there are lots of them that are pre-made out there just waiting for you to make a copy of them and assign them to your students. And so in this video, we're going to talk about both of those things, how you can make your own templates, and then how you can find some other ones so that you can just assign them right away. So these templates, they can be something as simple as a graphic organizer. They can be interactive with drag and drop elements. They can use images. They can have images added to them. The possibilities really are endless. And so the most important part of the template is figuring out what you want students to do on it. So we want to be able to envision the kind of work that students are going to do on it. And then we want to figure out, how do the students interact with that template? Do we want them to type some text? Do we want them to move something around? Do we want them to design something, to add something, to take a picture? What are they going to do with it? Those are kind of the basic questions that we need to ask. And so let's take a look on the screen here at a super easy way to be able to make a template that I'll bet probably lots of us have used at some point. And so we're going to make a Venn diagram. Now, a lot of the things that I do in these templates, by the way, this one is in Google Slides. You can certainly make this in PowerPoint just as easily as you could make it in Google Slides. But one of my favorite tools in either of those programs to be able to build a template is the Shapes menu, because there are all these different shapes that I can use to make sort of like the framework, the foundation of my template. And so I'm going to use this circle tool or an oval tool to be able to draw out the two ovals in the Venn diagram. So I'm going to take this one. I want to make the background transparent. I'm going to change the border color to red, and I'm going to make that border nice and thick so it's easy to see. So we can take this one, we're going to duplicate it, and we're going to kind of drag it over here a little bit so that we have that one overlapping part. Now, if you're doing something like this, let me show you a fun little trick, okay? Because I changed the background color to transparent, right? Now watch what happens if you come over and you do a custom color. One thing you can do, let's make the inside of this one red. Now what we can do is we can change the transparency of it. And when you overlap these shapes like this, it does kind of make a really neat feature, a neat, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like a neat effect. And so I'm going to make it more transparent than not and hit OK. And you'll notice that there's this kind of like light red, almost pinkish color, right? Okay, let's take this one right here and we're going to change this one to yellow. Now watch what happens when I hit the fill color and I go to custom and we change this to a yellow color, right? And then we take this and we change the transparency to it so it's more yellow than not. Watch what happens when we hit OK. See, look at that. Now where they overlap, it's kind of turned orange, right? And so we might have to make a couple little adjustments to it to make it just right. See, with this one, I might want to try to make it a little more yellow and maybe a little lighter. And so now you can kind of see there's an orange part in the middle, there's kind of a reddish part over here, and a yellowish part over here. Just a fun little thing that you can do with your shapes whenever you modify the transparency of the background inside of them. But this is just one teeny tiny little part of it. Really what we're doing here is we're building the framework of our template. Now, whenever I make a template like this and I want students to do something on it, I like to try to make the parts of the template that students aren't going to interact with first. So when I say interact with, I mean like a text box where they're going to type something, or a shape like an arrow shape that they're going to drag onto the screen on a certain spot, or a place where I want them to snap a picture with their webcam and stick it in there. Anything that the students are going to do themselves, I put that on later. So let's imagine that we're gonna add some text here so that we're able to see kind of like. So this is another part that the students won't need to change. Those are just kind of like my labels, right? Okay, what I want to show you next is a trick that you can use to lock these things into the background. So that's the reason that I don't put on the parts that the students are going to interact with next, is because I want to lock all of this stuff into the background. Because if you think about it, if I take this slide presentation and I assign it to a student, chances are, it's happened to me a million times, somebody's going to accidentally do this. Or somebody's going to accidentally do this. And they're going to go, Mr. Miller, I got rid of my yellow oval and I don't know how to get it back. And I'm going to have to go, help them troubleshoot it. So let's just eliminate all of that, okay? So the way that we're going to eliminate that is we're going to take this slide and all of the things that we don't want students to move around, we're going to save this slide as an image. So watch how I do this. File, download this slide as an image file. So right now, what have we got? We've got our two ovals overlapping, and we've got our text labels. But we don't have any text boxes for students to type in because, that's the part we want them to interact with. And so I go ahead and download that. Now this next part is going to seem counterintuitive, but trust me, it's right. I'm going to take all of the things that I just put onto that slide and delete them. Because now I want to change the background. Either use that background button there, or you can right click and hit change background. Either way. And you want to change the background to that image that you just saved. Hit choose image. And you can see down here, this is where I, where the download went. So I'm just going to drag this over and watch what happens. Now it's that picture of that slide that we just downloaded. So now if I try to click on any one of these things, see, look, I'm trying to click and drag that yellow oval. It's not going anywhere because it's a picture locked in the background, right? That's one little simple way that you can lock those things so that students can't move them. Now, I keep using the words lock in the background. This isn't an official Google thing. I'm just taking some things that I don't want students to move around and I'm saving them as a picture so that they're there. Because sometimes people will say, oh, but can I make it so that I can lock it and then unlock it? Lock isn't really a thing. It's just I'm saving it as a background picture. So what am I going to do now? Now that I have this part set, I want to take some text boxes and I want to put them into these parts. Here's where you write your answer. I can duplicate that with a Control D. I can even make it a little bigger if I want to. And then I can take this one and I can duplicate it again, Control D, and stick it in over here. And see, now we have a bona fide, ready to go student template. Because the parts that we don't want them to move are locked in the background as the background image. We have 3 text boxes where we do want them to write, and now it's all ready to go. And see, I could take this and I could do one of those, it's like what I was talking about in the attachments video earlier. I can make a, make a link that's an anyone with the link can view. I'll just show it to you again real quick. So I make the link so that it's anyone with the link can view, and I copy it. And then I'm going to stick it into my learning management system by changing the word edit and everything after it to copy. So now I can take that whole link right there and copy it and stick it in my assignment. And that's going to prompt my students to make a copy, right? So pretty easy. Let's look at a couple of other different types of templates that you can use. This one right here, I took a picture of President Obama's inauguration. I was looking for something historical that had lots of moving pieces in it, lots of things going on. And this is an example of a type of activity where you can set up your template to be interactive so that students drag things around. And the thing that I'm going to have them drag around is a shape, in particular an arrow shape. So I'm going to take that, I'm going to draw an arrow onto the screen here. One thing that's neat about these shapes, by the way, is that you can double click on them and we can type text on them. And so check this out. I can set this up off to the side here. Now remember, I've already saved my picture into the background as, locked it into the background as a background image. So now the only thing that we've got is this part that students are going to move around. So if we have that, and then we can duplicate that arrow and move it and put multiple, we could have them identify different things. So for instance, we could have them identify a TV camera because, maybe we talked in class about how it was one of the most watched inaugurations of all. I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just kind of making this stuff up. But then whenever the students get it, once we've assigned it to them, they can just drag that arrow and find, oh, there's President Obama right there. There's a TV camera right there. I guess we could even say that this is the White House. That is the White House, right? And I could drag that over here. And then we could even say like the presidential seal. And notice that I'm typing some of the text in here. You could leave some of the text parts blank and have students make up their own arrows and go point to them. Now, the other thing that's neat about these templates is that you can also have down at the bottom, you can have the speaker notes show up. So I go to View and Show Speaker Notes. And you'll notice down here at the bottom, it's where it says click to add speaker notes. This is a good place whenever you've got a template like this in Google Slides or in PowerPoint. You could have students describe why they answered the way that they did. This is kind of like a thinking space where they can type their thinking. And so by kind of repurposing the speaker notes for that, that can be really helpful too. Another fun way to be able to add some personalization to this is to have students insert pictures of themselves with the webcam. So they could just go to Insert Image and choose Camera, and that's going to let them snap a picture on their camera. If you're using Office and you have laptops that have a built-in camera app, just have them snap a picture with that and then upload that picture. And so then once you have these pictures, for instance, one thing you could do is you could insert a call out that looks like a thought bubble, and you could have students talk about what they're thinking about. So you can even drag the little tail around here. This is what I'm thinking. Make it bigger, 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 bigger. And then what you can also do in addition to that, so you could have it as just one picture like we had it earlier, or we could make this kind of like a series of pictures. So pretend like this picture isn't the same picture over and over again. And let's pretend that all four of these are different pictures. What have we got now? A 4-panel comic strip, right? So now it could be a progression of different things that students could do. And so see, look at this activity that we've got. We've got a Venn diagram, we've got a drag and drop where we can put things on top of images, and we've even got some pictures of the students themselves. So being able to put these all together can be a lot of fun. And notice that with some of these, it doesn't take a whole lot of prep time. It just takes kind of envisioning what you want students to do. Now, speaking of that prep time, wouldn't it be easier if somebody did all the work for you? Well, guess what? If you go to the templates page on my website, the Ditch That Textbook website, and you scroll down just a little bit, you'll find that I have this huge collection of all of these pre-designed Google Slides templates and PowerPoint templates. You can make a copy of them, you can download them, you can assign them directly to your students, and it's all totally done and ready to go for you. So for instance, we've got some infographics templates here. We've got a caption this template. We've got sticky note brainstorming. We had a bunch of those graphic organizers. This is kind of like the Venn diagram we were looking at earlier. Lots of different things that we can do. And we've even got some Jamboard templates. If you've played around with Jamboard, that interactive whiteboard tool, that's a really cool one as well. And we've got some templates you can use there too. So nice thing about all of this, you can make it exactly the way that you want, or you might go check out my template library, or even there's a wide variety of them. When you start digging kind of online or in social media, you're able to find things that other educators have created, and you just make a copy, file, make a copy, and you've got your own copy of it. And either way, those are the kinds of things that you can assign students right away and get the learning going.